planning to come to Delaware beaches change their plans, and that those in vacation homes consider returning to their homes. And now, as a result of the expected conditions that I just described, I'll be declaring a state of emergency as of 6 p.m. that includes an order of evacuation from coastal areas throughout the state. For tonight, that evacuation includes the following. Any visitors to the area should evacuate immediately. Others, including residents who have the flexibility and ability to begin leaving the area tonight, should do so, and people should not be entering the area tonight or tomorrow. Evacuation is best accomplished along pre-designated routes that are posted with evacuation route signs and can be found on DelDOT's website. DelDOT, along with the state police and the National Guard, will help direct the evacuation traffic on Friday. Now, we urge people who can to start moving as soon as possible in order to minimize traffic issues that we may encounter. Once winds reach 40 miles an hour, which is expected Saturday afternoon, DelDOT, the state police, and other responders will not be able to be out on the road safely, and there's a possibility that bridges over the C&D Canal will need to be closed to travel. We're going to continue to watch the forecast, and we may well order a mandatory evacuation of residents on Friday, as well as the closure of state government. Now, shelters are going to be open not only in Sussex, but also in Kent and Newcastle counties as well on Friday. Those locations will be publicized. But I want to say that those locations should be considered a last resort. They'll be expected to fill quickly, and people are advised to make plans to stay with family or friends or in hotels wherever possible.
State of emergency.
The Delaware National Guard is activating 1,500 of its folks to help with the evacuation as well as storm response. In addition, all state police are on call. All state police are on call. Equipment and troops are going to be deployed to all three counties for the storm and its aftermath. Now, I'm ordering this evacuation for a number of reasons. One is that the winds predicted for southeast Sussex in particular have the potential to cause severe damage to homes and businesses and to jeopardize lives. And also the flooding that will result from the combination of the rainfall and the tidal conditions in coastal Sussex and Kent counties will isolate many homes and businesses, making them impossible to reach, including by emergency responders. Now, while only part of the state is covered by the evacuation, everybody in Delaware needs to pay attention to and prepare for the storm. River and stream flooding may be at record levels. People ought to stockpile food, batteries, other supplies in case of extended periods of not being able to travel or being without power. Those in flood areas should prepare evacuation kits and be ready should rivers or streams threaten their homes. You should also be concerned about pets. The Delaware Emergency Management Agency has led dozens of calls over the last 3 days preparing for this. They've been coordinating with federal, county, city and town, fire department, health, utility, and other agencies. The Emergency Operations Center in Smyrna, where I'll be tomorrow morning, will be fully staffed through the weekend with all the agencies I mentioned, provide a coordinated response to whatever hurricane brings. I also want to say that we're going to be watching this forecast. We may well order a mandatory evacuation of residents on Friday, as well as the closure of state government, so people should stay tuned to the news. I've been in contact personally twice today with Governor O'Malley of Maryland, and our emergency management agency has been in touch with theirs, and I also just got off the phone with Secretary of Homeland Security Napolitano as well. So that's the news as of this moment. We do encourage people to stay keen and focused. And if anybody has any questions, Kathy, I'll let you coordinate that.
Okay. Let's begin with any wire services that are on the line.
Okay, this is Maxima 900. Good afternoon, Governor, and thank you, Kathy, for helping us with this information. I just want to have a clear understanding if the evacuation is supposed to be done today at 6 p.m. or tomorrow, Friday at 6 p.m.
For visitors to the area, it starts at 6 p.m. today, and we encourage people to be out of the area starting immediately, starting at 6 p.m., and some people may not be able to leave tonight. They can't leave tonight. They should leave tomorrow. But I think the later they wait, the likelier it is the worse the traffic may be, particularly because, and I want to emphasize again, that as we are watching this forecast, we may be in a position where we've got to order a mandatory evacuation, not just of the visitors, but also of the residents. And that would likely come tomorrow, should it come.
And this is for the area of Lewis and Rehoboth Beach. Is this correct, sir?
It is, but it's going to be, frankly, the entire coastal area from Fenwick, South Bethany, up to Dewey, to Rehoboth, to Lewis, to Slaughter Beach, and up. We are going to be when we issue our executive order shortly, we're going to be providing more definition to the area. It's certainly going to include all the areas that I just mentioned, and it may include some other areas as well. And so I'm glad you asked the question, but it's certainly going to include the areas that I just mentioned. But we're finally now, based on our communications with local law enforcement, the public safety community, the first responder community throughout the state, and we are likely to be adding some additional places to that list.
Thank you very much. And where would it be the place or the website to stay informed of the latest news?
Well, if you go to the State of Delaware website, which is delaware.gov, things will be posted there. We also encourage people to check out preparedve.org. But I would say for now, the main state website, things will be posted right there.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
We have WDEL or any other entity carrying this live. Questions? Very good.
Governor, how does the Weather Service characterize this to you in terms of the risk, the seriousness and the risk here?
Can you repeat the question?
How has the Weather Service and the weather advisors, how have they characterized this storm as far as risk goes?
Significant. Obviously this is what I've just outlined is a significant call when you start to talk about mandatory evacuation. But the real issue, the flooding issue, there's quite likely that people who stay behind would not be able to be reached by first responders. The best estimate that we've been given is that Delaware has not seen a storm like this since 1944. And that, as a result, between the flooding risk and the likelihood that the first responders will not be able to get in, the potential risk to structures because of the high wind damage that could be provided. And importantly, and I mentioned it earlier, I want to mention, should the winds get 40 miles an hour, it is quite likely that the bridges going over the C&D Canal will be impassable. And so this is why it's important for people not to wait until Saturday to leave. If you are a visitor to the area, this is the time to leave. We love having you in Delaware, and we want you back very, very soon. But for your own safety and for the safety of everybody, this is the time. This is the time to leave.
There's also a risk to northern Delaware along the rivers up there where it's pretty wet.
There is, and we've been in close touch with the folks in Wilmington and in Newcastle County. And when we do the state of emergency a bit later, we'll be providing more definition in terms of all of the areas that are affected.
How are you coordinating evacuation with Maryland?
What I would like to do is, Secretary Blair on the phone?
Yes, Governor, I'm here.
Okay, would you like to...
Yes, certainly. Our DEMER is in constant contact with the emergency management committees and also directly in contact with Ocean City safety officials. So the coordination is happening very closely. In addition, I would imagine DelDOT also is in contact with their Maryland counterparts.
Yes, we are.
Governor Markell, this is Denise Nakano from NBC 10 News. With the state of emergency happening at 6 o'clock, have there been shelters designated so far?
Yeah, the shelters will be opening tomorrow morning. We will be, within the next couple hours, we'll be specifically saying where those shelters are. And because this evacuation, the mandatory evacuation, specifically at this moment applies to visitors, we're encouraging visitors to return to their homes. But we expect to have shelters in all three counties. But I do again remind people that the shelters ought to be treated as the last option. That we encourage people to go back home or to stay with friends or families or hotels because it's certainly quite likely that these shelters could fill up.
Governor, this is Don Elkins from WBOC TV. How are you today?
Good, how are you?
Not bad. I got a question for you. I know that when Ocean City shut everything down there and issued Phase 3 of its emergency, the governor, Mayor Meehan down there actually ordered the businesses to close and ordered the end to alcohol sales, I believe, as of midnight. Now, seeing as many of the areas in your state, in Delaware, are also beach towns that do that, is this also something that will be part of your executive order when you give it? Will you shut down the sale of alcohol at midnight or something along those lines?
That's not. We're still working on the state of emergency. We've not specifically discussed that, but certainly we expect visitors to be leaving. So those visitors would not be, we expect, in a position. We don't want them buying alcohol during this period of mandatory evacuation.
Governor, this is Ashley with WMDT.
Hi.
Will be open tomorrow? Will the courts be open tomorrow?
At this point, we have not made a decision to shut down state government, but it's something. That's why I'm urging people to stay focused, on the news, because these are decisions that could be coming. At this point, the mandatory evacuation is specifically focused on visitors to the area. But as we watch the forecast, we may well order a mandatory evacuation of residents on Friday, and should we do so, we would expect to close down, sort of the non-essential services in state government.
Andrew Cox, WBO. Could this project, when possibly shutting down the bridges over the CD Canal, talk about the impact that this could possibly have also down here in Sussex County on the Indian River Inlet Bridge?
I would like to ask Secretary Back to answer that specific question.
We have been in contact with a contractor down there. They are putting hurricane ties on the structure right now to anchor it to the ground as securely as possible. The South Traveler will remain in place, but it is being secured as well as can be possible. And we will actually be closing the Indian River Inlet Bridge at some point, because what we don't want is to have people trapped on that particular stretch of road. The website to find out exactly when that will be coming down.
And I remember just since I've been governor, so it's probably a year, maybe 2 years, a year and a half ago, when we had one of our nor'easters, and that stretch was absolutely impassable. And that was a storm that is likely to pale in comparison to this one, but the flooding was incredible, and so you couldn't get through the bridge.
Report the coastal areas that the visitors are being asked to evacuate from?
Okay. Well, specifically, I can say this I can speak with great specificity about a number of them, but people should be following the news, because we will be adding more shortly. But if you think about the Delaware coast, starting in Fenwick, going up to South Bethany, to Bethany Beach, to Dewey Beach, to Rehoboth, to Henlopen and Acres, up to Lewis, to Slaughter Beach, pretty much that entire stretch for sure. And it's possible that some stretch of that North Kent County is also going to be affected.